Welcome to this month's webinar, which is all about AI for video. The reason why I decided to spend this month's webinar on video is because I spend so much time producing it. And I always have. I thought the other day, how long have I actually been producing video? And it's been more than 30 years. I think I produced my first video when I was in secondary school, and I've just continued. I've worked in television and I've done all sorts of things, particularly in marketing. And now, because of social media the way it is, and video is just so engaging, and also in my academic role at the University of the Sunshine Coast, I'm constantly producing it. And I've seen it through the whole gamut of when it was so time consuming to do. And so the last few years, I've been leaning into some really amazing AI tools that have helped to speed things up considerably. So in this session, I'm going to show you through three of my favorites and just some of their features. So welcome. Now, I just want to explain why video is so important. And really, it's over the last few years, it's become more and more important, particularly short form video on platforms like TikTok and Reels on Instagram and Facebook. But video has always been, since YouTube, it's really started to take off. In terms of the research on it, it shows that 65% of conversion happens through video. So it actually, video can at a much higher rate than any other form of content. And if you think about it, it's because we can actually see things. We can see products, we can hear explanations, we get to a much better understanding of them, and it's much easier to actually consume. When you're a user of a social media platform, it's so much easier to watch a video because rather than read and things like that. And there's research to also show that video stays in your mind more and you remember it much more than written text and things like that. So I think we are probably a little bit lazy and we just don't remember text. So video is a really powerful way to connect with your audience, not even when you're just trying to sell a product, but also when you're trying to share an idea or just connect and build trust with your audience. Video is a really great way to do this. Some other research shows that 78% of shoppers actually prefer to watch videos when they're researching products. And this is also become a really prolific way and predominant way that people in sort of Gen Z demographics are researching products now. They're using platforms like TikTok more than Google to search for products and services. And so that's why it's really important to understand, and a really great way to create video so you can actually be out there and connect with your preferred audience, but also you're not spending days on end doing it. And if you don't have that expertise, it can also take much longer as well. So in terms of using AI for video, it can do all sorts of things to help you. At the lowest level, it can do things like help you to come up with ideas and help you to script things. And it can also help you to really hone in on your audience. So a way that we use it at Dharana Digital is when we have a new client and we do all that back-end strategic work in terms of SEO strategies and audits and social media strategies. We do interviews with their customers and things like that, and use those transcripts in either a Claude project or a custom GPT on ChatGPT. And then it has all this background information, and then it can help us to generate ideas for reels and things like that. So once a month, I will go to our clients and I'll have a list of questions that have come from their social media strategy and their SEO strategy. And then often we will do just piece to camera reels, and I will ask them the questions and they'll tell their answers, and then I'll come back and do the editing. So it means that what we're creating together is much more aligned to their audience and also their business goals, because there's no point doing anything unless it's actually supporting what you want to achieve as a business. The other thing it can do is help with the editing and the distribution and sort of the scheduling and things like that. And we're going to go through some of that today, and then short form video. So as I mentioned, it can really help to cut things down. So another great way is to repurpose, which we'll go through that today using an amazing tool called Opus Clip. And what I'll even be doing a bit with this webinar is when it's done and I've edited it, I'll put it into Opus Clip and it will create short form videos for me based on what the AI deems to be the most interesting pieces of content from that video and the highlights. So the main thing here though is while there are lots of AI tools to help you, it's there to accelerate and it's not there to actually do all the jobs for you, and you need to be involved in every step of it. I would be very wary of just going, okay, I'm using AI to create a video and it can just push it out without me having any involvement. I would be petrified about doing that. So this is just ways to really break down the video production process and then how you can use AI in certain strategic parts of that while you're in control of it. So it's just some more stats around video for 2026. So it can do all sorts of things now, and it's become so much more photorealistic, which is a good thing, but also a very bad thing because it means that it's getting harder to tell the difference between AI generated video and real video. And it's getting much harder. The thing is, though, it can take a lot of money and tokens and things like that to generate a lot of video from AI. So that's the thing. So it's not a great tool yet for doing that, but it can do little snippets, which we'll play with today. But it's looking very real, and now they have sound and people can actually speak in the videos and things like that. The other thing it can do, we're going to look at today Gemini Omni Flash, which will be generating video for us based on a prompt. So we'll have a look and just see how well it does. Clearly, we'll only be able to do it once. I think you get 3 goes a day, but we don't want to sit there waiting for it the whole time. But I'll just show you that tool so you can see how that can happen. Runway Gen 4. So Runway was like one of the very first text to video image generators of AI tools, and that's just keeps getting better and better as well. And then there's HeyGen, which I've been using a little bit. So it can actually create an AI avatar of you if you want to, and you have to give it permission and give it a certain amount of video, and then you can just give it a script and then it will generate that video. The only thing is it tends to, I've done it with myself, and what happens is because I'm a bit of a talker and I use my hands, I just do this the whole time, and you can have multiple ones as well, but it doesn't seem to get my voice sent. So what I tend to do with that is I'll record me speaking, and then the video matches up then to my audio recording. So that's been a way to get around it. And I'm actually going to be experimenting with this with a client coming up soon because he's super busy and doesn't have a lot of time for me to go and shoot with him. So we're going to see how it goes. The thing is, though, with AI generated video in that way, we're also going to test just how the social media platforms respond to that. And not only if people can see it, but if the content itself is flagged or it's not given the same amount of reach as a genuine video, because we still don't know how that's going to play out. The great thing about HeyGen as well, and there's other platforms that do this, it can actually translate into, it says here, more than 175 languages. So if you are trying to connect with people on an international scale, you can give it a video and then it can completely do the translation for you into that. Now, I played with that as well. It was a while ago and I did that. And I used one of my videos and translated it into Hindi. The only thing was, because of the bias that's present in AI tools, in Hindi, there's male, female, and it only had the male sort of pronouns in there. So I was talking like I was a guy. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but yeah, it didn't have the female pronouns and stuff in there yet, and other ways around it. So I'm hoping it's improved in that way. So the thing is, and I've got some current limitations here. So it still struggles. It really can. I've only seen a few people who have really been able to, excuse me, use text to video really well to create really high quality, accurate outputs. And what they tend to do is just do little snippets and then sew them together in the editing process. It also, as I mentioned previously, it can take a lot of time and money and credits for the AI tool as well. So an example, I thought in Descript, so which we're going to look at in this webinar as well. I was putting together a reel for a client, and we're going to do a proper shoot where we had testimonials, and I was shooting with them out in one of our beautiful natural surrounds here on the Sunshine Coast. But I wanted to give them an idea of what it was going to look like. So I thought, look, why don't I make an AI sort of storyboard reel where I get AI to generate the types of little clips that I want to include just to give them an idea. And it chewed up my monthly credit. It was not a good idea to do that. So yeah, so it actually costs a lot to do it. So I think if you're going to use it in that way, you need to be very specific about what you're going to use it for and have really solid prompts so you don't waste your money and your time. Now, in terms of different types of AI tools, and we're going to get onto the tools in just a second, but there's generally three different categories. So firstly, there's the generative tools. So these are text to video. You give it a prompt, it will generate a video in response. So these are tools like Google Gemini Omni, which we'll look at today, Runway, Pika, Synthesia. You might have heard of Synthesia. They do a lot of training videos now because they use AI avatars as the people delivering the training to save companies having to go out and hire professional trainers to make videos. So that's one sort of way that they're being used. So it's just prompting and generating. Next is editing and enhancement. So these are things like Descript, which we'll look at. Adobe Studio Sound is another one. And really any AI powered editing tool. And a lot of the traditional editing tools now have a lot of AI features injected in there. Even Canva and their editing tools have those sorts of things in there too. And then you've got the repurposing tool. So this is where you take a longer piece of content or a piece of video, and then it can change it into, say it was like a landscape, it would change it into vertical short form video for you. And there's lots of other things it can do as well. But the AI is there identifying what the best bits are and then putting it into the right format for you. So then you can just upload it to your preferred social platform. So in terms of today's focus, we're going to look at Google Gemini Omni, Descript, and Opus Clip. Now, the thing is, these are tools that I use all the time, so I do pay for subscriptions for them. I know some have some free features, but when you're choosing the tool, you need to think about how often you're going to use it. I'm creating video not only for our clients and our business, but in my academic role, we don't have lectures anymore. So we are creating videos all the time for students and instructional videos and things like that. And so it really helps me in that respect as well. And then there's also things for my own personal branding. So when I do my ticker segment every week, I use Descript to edit that and then repurpose it in Opus Clip, and I put it on TikTok and send it out and all those sorts of things. So it depends on what you're using. So there are some tools that can do a lot of different things. So Descript can do a lot of different things, and it can do things as well like the repurposing, but I still prefer to use Opus Clip for that. But if you can find one tool that can do multiple things that you will use regularly, then a subscription is definitely worth it. So let's now have a look at some of those tools. So we're going to first look at Gemini Omni. Now, this actually includes images, audio, video, and it can be very high quality. But it only does a very short snippet. And sometimes you have to be very literal with your prompts. I'm laughing because I showed my students this in class, and the prompt was, one of my students said, have two women talking to each other on the phone. And they started off talking to each other, but then they put the phone away from the ear and then turned and then talked to each other. So you've got to be very literal and specific about what you want, because there's a great guy, I think he's on TikTok, and he does this whole bit about let's get rid of real actors and let's use AI actors, and he does these auditions and they can never do what he asks. So it's a bit hit or miss. And as I mentioned, there's only a couple of people I know who can do it really well. There was one guy, he was at the Marketing AI conference last year in Cleveland, Ohio, and he's built a whole agency around it. He just started experimenting he did a series where he had biblical characters as YouTube vloggers, and he learned a lot. So now he produces ads and all sorts of things using AI. But yeah, I think he had to go through a lot of trial and error to get to that stage. Now, if you look at this in terms of crafting prompts, it's very similar to when you are crafting any sort of a prompt for an image or whatever. You've got to be very specific, but you've got to think about it from more a video aspect in mind and think of those things. So thinking about the subject and the action, the setting, also the camera shots. Where do you want the camera to be? What sort of lighting do you want? What's the sort of mood and the style? And then what do you want to actually happen in there? And if you're thinking of creating a few bits and sewing them together, it's a really good idea to storyboard the bits out first and then write your prompts accordingly with that, so then they can flow on to the next one. So starting with the end in mind, so to speak. So what I thought I would do, so here we have Google Gemini. Now we'll create a video, but what I've done is I've created a prompt, and I'll show you that. And I've used AI to help me to create this prompt, and you can see it's quite long. And in here, so I've done it branded to Dharana Digital, of course, but just to give you an idea. So we've got here the instruction about creating a cinematic photorealistic 10-second video for Dharana Digital. Then we've got the scene. So it's a calm, elegant, creative studio at sunrise, and it's got our brand colors and things. In the center is a professional woman seated at a clean desk with a laptop. So she basically is at the laptop, and then our Lotus branding is on paper, and then it all comes together. The action is I'm typing a prompt on my laptop, and it's all messy, and then everything comes together. We've got start with a close-up and then pull back slowly to reveal the floating content fragment. So it's got the different camera shots to use, lighting and style. So soft golden modern light, which is like this whole sunrise thing. And then some extra things, instructions there. Do not include readable text, logos, robots, brain icons. I don't like those in terms of AI. So anyway, let's put this in and just see what happens. And it might take a little bit before it actually comes out the other end. I also always use the Pro, the advanced one, because I tend to get better results. And I notice that with my images as well. When I use the fast one, they're just, I don't know, the quality's not so good. So anyway, let's pop this in and see what happens. Sometimes it says, no, I can't do that. So let's hope it decides to do it. So it's refining the prompt, detailing the scene composition. I like how it tells me what it's doing, and it's generating the video. So let's come back to that. Let's keep moving, and we'll come back and have a look at that in a sec. Okay, and this is the prompt here, which I won't show again. Let's move now to Descript. Now, I would have to say that I would use Descript nearly every single day with video. It is so good. It does things like removes filler words. And I'm sure you've noticed that I say a lot of ums and so's, and I say actually. There's certain words that I say repeatedly to fill in any space when I'm trying to think and things like that. This finds them and then just removes them, which is great. Also, if the sound's not so good, if you're somewhere noisy, you've got this studio sound sort of function where you can apply it, and then it actually crisps up the sound of the voice and gets rid of any background noise. If you've made mistakes in your video, you can choose remove retakes. These are the ones that I use all the time. So remove retakes, and what can happen is, just say you've stumbled over something and then you've done it again, it will find those and then it'll keep the best ones, and then you can identify which ones you want to get rid of. So you don't have to keep stopping and starting, you can just keep going. And then the eye contact function is really good too for people who are a bit nervous about speaking on camera. Now, I tend to use this when I'm doing testimonials for clients, because often you have people who they're not on camera, they're not confident, but they're happy to do a testimonial. And so they often have it written out. And so we have it next to the camera, and they're actually reading the testimonial, but then with the eye contact feature, I can put that in Descript and it makes them look like they're speaking confidently down the barrel of the camera. So that's a really great one. It's also got things like translation and voice cloning, which is pretty good and it's pretty accurate. The voice cloning, I don't know, it depends on the voice and how much data that you give it. So let's have a look at Descript now. So this is the main dashboard of it. Now it's got a feature where you can do things like vibe coding. So basically you can write your text of what you want it to do and then it will actually do it. I've had varying success with this, so I tend to go to the new project. But what you can do is it gives you prompts like clean up recording, generate an avatar, things like that. There's different prompt templates to help you, and then you can upload any images or video files and audio. You can record directly into it, which I do. Often I do this when I'm interviewing some of my clients' customers and things, because it will record it and it transcribes it at the same time. So you can record video, you can do screen webinar things, you can record just audio and record with others or schedule for later. One of my best finds this year, though, was in the new project, video project, because I'm recording a lot of sort of lecture type content for the university. Also, when I also teach yoga on Zoom, and so I use it for this as well. So often what I do is, once it loads, is that you can actually bring in Zoom. So you can actually connect your Zoom to your Descript, and then, so if we go here, import from Zoom, once it's connected, you've got all, you can just, and it will just upload directly in there to save you downloading from Zoom, uploading again. It saves a heap of time. But today, let me find a video. 2026, what will we put in here? Let's put in, oh look, I'll put in my last night's yoga class. And so what it does, you brought it in and it's now transcribing this, and this will take a little bit. So while this is happening, let's go back to look at this video. Oh, there you go. I wish I looked like that. That's definitely not me, but you can see from the prompt, it's morning. You wanted everything there. We wanted the big lotus, which is our branding, but it had a nice little sort of music chimes in there, and you could hear her typing on the laptop. So that's pretty good just from one prompt to come through. So there you go. So that's that one. Let's go back now to Descript, which is still uploading. What we might do is continue on with the slides while that's happening. Thing is that while these AI tools are faster than doing it yourself, it still takes time. It still takes time uploading. They still take time identifying parts that you want to get rid of, generating things from text. But that video that we just did then, imagine like actually planning that out to go and shoot that. That would have taken a lot more effort than just writing a prompt. And I think the faster it gets, we get more impatient because we want it to be faster. Let's move on now to Opus Clip. So this is an excellent tool that helps with things like transcription. When you upload a long form piece of video in there, it can identify what look, I haven't had anything go viral. It gives you a virality score, but I think it's just like matching the topics it's covered in the video with topics that are trending on social channels, but it's no guarantee you're going to go viral. It picks up different speakers. It also generates an auto hook, and it actually gives like a text on the video with that auto hook on there. And you can do all sorts of things. You can publish, depending on your subscription, directly through to your chosen social platform, again saving that time going downloading and uploading and all that sort of stuff. So what we'll do is we'll go over to Opus Clip, and basically you can upload, connect your Google Drive, put something in there. So I'll put in my ticker from last week. So basically it goes in there and you can see all these features here. So you can ask it to just make things shorter. You can put captions on. You can edit within there as well, so it's a bit more manual and you're doing it. It has all these other sort of things. The AI B-roll effect. So what it can do is actually look at the transcript and put overlay on it relating to what you're talking about. Now, this can be good, but it depends. Like, for example, one of my clients is a bookkeeper. So we tried that, and bookkeeper in Australia, but it just kept putting like American money references in there. So it didn't really work for that particular situation. This is new, this upscale, because sometimes it's not great quality and it can actually increase the quality of the actual video. So I used that last week and it actually took a lot of my credits, as you can see here. And then script to video. So it can do that as well. I haven't really played with that a lot. But what it can do, so what it does, it uploads it, and then you get to pick, is it what sort of genre it is, and then it will clip it accordingly. So while this is also taking some time to go up there, I'll show you what I did last week with it. So I used my interview, and then what it did was it created all of these, I think it was like about 13 different clips. It put the captions on them. So let's have a look at one.
New report reveals that for the first time, social media and video platforms have surpassed traditional news outlets as the dominant source of information globally, posing a significant risk and threat to old media businesses. Let's bring in Dr. Karen Sutherland from the University of the Sunshine Coast. Great to see you. Do you think traditional media will be able to adapt here?
To be honest, I think I won't go into that. We won't have to watch the whole thing, but you can see that it's created those clips, and it took, it probably took about 10 minutes to do it. I won't put you through the pain of watching that today, but it took about 10 minutes to do. And it also generates like a caption. You can go in and make any edits possible that you want as well, but it just saves a heap of time. And that was a long form video. So it was landscape in size. So that's a super helpful way to do that. But it can do all sorts of things, and you can even get just a long form video, like a landscape video, and get it just to reframe it, even if you want it to be the same length. So there's you can do things automatically using the AI, but you can also have a lot of control over exactly what you want. There's also a feature in there where I'm not sure, like sometimes you've maybe done an interview or a podcast or something, and you're like, I really liked that segment where I said this. What you can do is while it's still loading, once you get into it, you can write the phrase or the word that you want to find, and it will just find that clip for you automatically. So you're not having to go through the whole thing. It saves a lot of time that way. So let's go back while we're waiting. So now you can see we're in Descript, and what it does, it actually does the transcript over on this side. And it means that if you're like, oh, I don't like that, you can just highlight it and then just delete it, and it takes it out of the video. And you can always bring it back if you need to, but it does that. And then on the side here are all the AI tools. So you've got the studio sound, it remove filler words, really easy. And it just goes and finds them. And then you can either just go remove all, or you can pick here, because I repeat things in my yoga class, like I want those in there, but you can actually go through and be very discerning about what you pick and what you leave in, or you can just remove them all, which is really good. And you can add captions to this as well. It's also got this feature called Underlord, which sounds very sinister, but you can ask it to remove things. So you can ask it to then add things in, overlay, or find the words or a word in there that you want removed, and it will just do it for you, which is really good. So an example of that, I used it for, so I developed a first year business course at the University of Sunshine Coast where it was strategic business communication. And so I would do these little intro videos into the topic. It might be about persuasion or negotiation or something like that. So rather than just the poor students just looking at me the whole time, what I did was I would edit it in here, and then I would say to Underlord, find me 3-second clips. Or no, I'd say analyze the transcript, find me 3-second clips relating to the topics covered. They have to be landscape, they have to be this, they have to be that. And then it went into its video library and then just did it for me. And I said, make it start at this point and end at this point. And then it was done. It saved so much time rather than me having to go through and find all those different that stock video to do it myself, it did it in a quarter of the time, even maybe a tenth of the time. So good. The other thing with Descript is that you can download the audio, you can download the transcript, even the subtitles, and you've got all different options here as well about what you want to do with it. So what we do after, when we do our podcast every month, I'll put it in here and I'll edit it, and then I'll export just the audio, and then that will go up on Spotify. I'll do the video, I'll grab the transcript, and I'll turn the transcript into a blog post using another tool. And so using it this way, we just get so much more out of it. And then I also put it into Opus Clip and get those different clips out of it. Now back in Opus Clip, I'm sorry, I'm moving. In Opus Clip, now it's uploaded the full thing, which was about, I think, 9 minutes or something. And then you've got all these options here. So what is it? Is it an interview? Is it a podcast? It's a text things. And you can pick the right one that suits your video. Here's where you can talk about specific moments, like compile where I talked about this topic, and it'll just find those. Then you have preset templates. So if I wanted it more of a square, or I want it in the vertical mode for TikTok, I pick that. And then it won't do it because I'm doing out of credits, but then it will then create all those clips for you, like the ones I showed you previously. So these ones, yeah, those ones like I showed you previously. So that's a really great tool. It can do multiple things, and it just depends on what you use video for now, or what you want to use it for and just don't have the time, because it can be super helpful. So going back now to, it was a fast and furious in my demonstration of all the different tools that I use. But yeah, so I use all of these very well. I don't generate video from prompts very often. And it would probably be if I really needed something that I just couldn't create, or I couldn't go out and shoot myself, I might do it. Or to give an example to a videographer, if I wanted something done by a professional. But yeah, I tend to actually go out and shoot real video and then edit it in that way. I don't know. I think AI, there's a place for AI video, but I do enjoy actually going out and shooting with real people at this stage in my career. So some things to remember when you're doing it and using AI tools for video is it's there to automate the tedious tasks, but you still need to look into it. And even the text to video stuff I was in Descript, and I wanted to put in like an insert over one of my yoga videos, and it was almost bordering on pornography what it came up with. I don't know why it did that. So you can just never leave the AI to do it on its own and not check it. So just be very careful. We've gone from the days where people had 7 fingers and things like that, but remember, it's trained on certain data. So you need to oversee what it comes back with. Making sure that you have, as I said, start with the end in mind. So think about what you want the final product to be, and then work backwards from that to see where AI can help you, but also you need to drive the whole thing. In terms of generating text to video, it's very short. So again, you need to think of the bigger picture. And if you really want to do a full AI generated video, great. But yeah, you'll have to stitch it together and check everything, and just be careful of the cost, because as you can see, I've told you some stories from me where I thought, oh, let's try this new feature, and then it's just chewed up all my credits. And yeah, and I really didn't want to have to replace those before the end of the month when the subscription renews. So just some things to think about coming up. So next month for our webinar, I'll be talking about AI for email, and so that'll be on the 27th of July, and all sorts of things relating to email. And I also how to avoid, I hope this email find you well, because I'm so sick of seeing that in my emails. I'm getting my eyes twitching just thinking about it. So using AI to help streamline your email, but also to personalize it so it still sounds like you. Because I don't know about you, I tend to switch off when I know that an email's been written by AI. So the best way to use AI is to make it look like you're not using it. And so that's what we're going to cover. Then there's also the free community on Facebook, the AI for Strategic Communication community. And I do lots of things in there. I do lives in there every Friday and things like that. So feel free to join that. And there'll be a link. If you've registered for this webinar, we'll send you a link to all of this stuff as well. And then we've got the new cohort open for the AI integration sprint for communication leaders on the 3rd of August. So that's all open. And yeah, just feel free to email me if you want to have a chat or have any questions about any AI sort of stuff. But does anyone have any questions about today's session? Please pop them in the chat. Or would anyone like to share anything that they know about AI video? There are lots of tools out there, and I've been playing a little bit with Canva as well and the tools in there. And I find I really got really frustrated last week with Canva because I don't know what was happening, but it kept buffering. And I was putting this reel together, which was quite complex. And every time I would touch anything on it, it would take 5 to 10 minutes for it to come back for me. And it took so long to put it together. Cindy, can we add music to a video? Yes, absolutely. So you can add it in Descript, and I'm pretty sure you can add it in Opus Clip as well. In Gemini, in their tool, you probably cannot. I think you can say the type of music you would like on it, but to actually add a soundtrack, you need to put it into a different editing tool. But I know some people, they create music in Suno, that AI music generation tool, but also actually in Gemini now, you can, if we go back to a new chat, you can actually create music now in there. What have we got? Create image, video, more tools. Yeah, create music. So you can create your own AI generated music. I'm not sure if you could actually add it to the video, but what you could do is you could maybe attach it to the prompt and then just see if it does it. To be honest, I haven't tried that out, but it might be worth having a go for sure. Does it need to be music from their library? Yeah, you'd need to use copyright-free music. I actually had a question from someone recently. They wanted to use a particular music track and then make it sound like there were 4 people singing the same thing and use AI to do it. And I asked in AI and tried to generate it and things like that, and it wouldn't do it. So yeah, it's really strengthened its sort of boundaries on copyright in terms of music lately. When it first began, you could do anything, but that's changed now. Yeah, it's changed. I think all the court cases have scared them. So yes. So you could maybe generate, if it was actually a copyrighted song, you couldn't, but you could make your own song music using AI, or there's copyright free music libraries that you could use as well. And I know some editing tools have music. Also on YouTube Studio has a huge music library, and that's all, you can use all of that on your videos as well. Would any of these tools use my images to add to their music rather than creating an AI generated video? So you mean you put the music in and then the video and then so you're saying you want to create like a montage sort of thing with still images to the music? Is that what you mean? Because if that is, like in Canva, you can do it. So for a product, our product images, not to their music, to their video. You could try. I would have to ask more about what you mean. So not much of music, just video with your pics. Yeah, possibly. I know in Descript you could do that. You could just upload all your videos and then write a prompt and say what you want it to do, and then it would actually just create it for you. Yes, it could definitely do that. So thank you so much. Hopefully I'll see you in next month's webinar all about AI for email. Thanks so much.